Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another edition of PHLY Union Podcast. We had a signing. We have signings throughout the league as well. Matches to talk about. Welcome on in, everybody. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, JP Zapata, joined as always with the lovely Renee Washington. Renee, it's a little dreary here today in the Philadelphia area. I know the fan base for the Union may not be so optimistic here today, but we're going to have some fun. That's the most important part here on PHLY Union.
It's sad. I didn't remember what the weather was like outside. It looks like, it feels like it's been, I'm not going to lie, when you said it was dreary, I'm like, is it? Because I don't remember. I've been inside for the day, guys, if you haven't realized that. Listen, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
We've got news. So... okay, you know what? Small wins, small things. It's a small thing.
PHLY Union goes up on a Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. It should be interesting. I know the fan base right now is not the happiest either, Renee, but I'm gonna do the job of trying to bring some optimism here today, and I know everyone wants to hear your opinions as well.
You're the optimism conductor.
I try.
Like you're single-handedly leading that train of optimism.
Train is under maintenance because we're getting ready for the season. So once the season's up, we'll be full swing with the optimism train.
Yeah, I was very intrigued by the fact that there were a lot of people talking on your tweets more than anything about.
Thank you guys, I appreciate that.
Yeah, some great conversation happening, great chats happening on Twitter that you were having about the signing of Markus Anderson. Listen, it's a weird time for Union fans right now. It's a very weird time. But we at least got a signing. Yeah. So let's start there, JP, because at least there's something. The Union are doing something. That's more than I can say about other teams. Phillies.
I felt that.
Yeah. Okay, take us away with Markus.
Yeah, so
Markus with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Philadelphia, Markus Anderson. He is a 21-year-old. We'll call him an attacker. He's labeled as a winger on transfer market. Seems like that is his position of choice, but obviously for Union's sakes, we will call him an attacker. So bear with me. He's coming from 3rd Division in the Spanish Soccer Federation, CF Club de Fútbol Rayo Majadahonda. That's what I'm going to go with. If anyone has a pronunciation, we definitely would appreciate that. But Majadahonda. So Markus signs here to it's a 2-year deal with an option for a 3rd year. So pretty much through 2028, we're talking about Markus Anderson. Obviously, it's an interesting one tidbit to note here is that it looks like he was looked at by the Real Madrid, their youth development camp, the Castilla. They actually looked at Markus Anderson. So that's definitely something to note. He is American, born in Brooklyn. He's American with of Nigerian descent as well. So obviously it's big because he's got an American passport. We all know the horrors of visas with the Philadelphia Union, so you don't have to worry about that as well. Now, according to Transfer Market as well, this is from Transfer Market, it was a free transfer.
We like free.
We don't have the official reporting here, but if you guys want to bank on Transfer Market, be our guest. But so that was the signing. So Renee, let's knock the elephant out of the room here. I mean, obviously a lot of us have already watched the YouTube clips. Not a lot of us know a lot about Rayo Majadahonda or Markus Anderson as well. But if you're a Union fan, you see this news pop up in your Twitter feed, you go onto Wikipedia or whatnot, the first thing you're looking at is, number one, this is a 21-year-old kid. Number two, he's coming from the 3rd Division Spanish League. Yeah. And so let's be real. Like the thought for all of us was like, this is it? Like this is all, we're not even getting a player from Villarreal or Real Betis, but not even Rayo Vallecano, Rayo Majadahonda. So that
You're doing good with that.
I'm getting a little bit better now.
Yeah, I hear it. I was gonna go Majadahonda.
Mad Honda, Rayo
but
Mad
I was
Honda.
like that was extremely American version because it does have the word Honda at the end of it.
Right.
But, so if I was gonna go extremely American, I would go Majadahonda because I feel like it's got a cool ring to it. But I like Majadahonda.
Yeah.
I like that. Reo Mahanda Honda. Okay, JP. I see what you're doing there. Now,
this is the concern. This is the concern is that, well, not a lot of people know the player, not a lot of people know the league, and obviously this fan base is just a little bit fatigued after last year.
So I will not make fun of Reo Mahanda's name because Sheffield Wednesday came after us when I made fun of them. Love the fact that our show got across the pond. It was great to see different people from the UK talking about our show, but I don't want to make that same mistake twice in disrespect. I will just say I have not heard of Reo Mahada Honda. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in their team or in their club and what they've done in the Spanish third division. But I do think for Markus Anderson, who as a 20-year-old also born in the United States, doesn't occupy an international roster spot. Check. I like that.
Yeah.
Also, as you mentioned, don't have to worry about any paperwork issues. Mm-hmm. Check. 3-year contract with a club option for 2027-28 on a free transfer. Check. That you get 3 years and you get free. Free. Anything free, I like it. Now, I know the concern, as you touched on, JP, is, okay, the Union make another signing, and it's another under 21-year-old, basically. Mm-hmm. When you look at the list of the different names that we've heard, Sanders Nagabo, Isaiah LaFleur, Jaimir Bedesio, Markus Anderson, none of these names are jumping off the paper for you. Even in the super draft, those that stayed and did not go back to college, same thing. Mm-hmm. But as we talked about, I think what it comes down to is these are all potential pieces. These are also all depth pieces. And I know Ernst Tanner was talking about Marcus's ability before we even deep dive into it a little bit more, saying that Markus is, it's funny to me, he starts it off with Markus, who holds U.S. citizenship. Let's just throw that out there first. He thought that was important too. Yeah, he led with that. He literally led with that. Is a very physical and quick striker. After initially playing in the 5th division in Spain, he was able to quickly progress to the 3rd division where he's been performing well at a very young age. He's another great example of how adept our scouting department is at identifying talent, and we look forward to integrating him as quickly as possible with the team. So I did like the progress piece. Moving from the 5th division to the 3rd division in a short period is impressive, especially at 20 years old, because as I was just talking about, ironically, with Tyler before the show, at that age, you still physically have so much growing to do.
Yeah.
You're still, 20 used to seem old back when we were 20. But now when I look back at these kids these days.
Oh my God,
and I look at 19, 20 years old, you are still a baby. You still have so much maturing to do, growing to do, learning to do, your body, you're growing into your body. So for Markus Anderson, who's got a good size, good frame, I even imagine part of it is just him figuring out physically how to use his speed, how to use his strength, how to be physical, how to balance that. So the progression in such a short time is encouraging. And then also I'm always interested in potential. Mm-hmm. I don't love potential because none of it's guaranteed,
right.
But it's another potential piece at a low price that you can see how you can develop with time. Essentially, that's what this comes down to.
Yeah. So here's kind of where I'm at with the signing here. So there's two questions here that I have to ask here. So just kind of like, I'm trying to understand the thought process of Markus Anderson and just the signings in general, because it feels like these are the same type of signings that we have done since Ernst has arrived here. You're finding diamonds in the rough, younger, you bring in development, and you're bringing into for the team chemistry, and you're seeing here one of the best starting 11s in the MLS, and based off of this framework that you've done here. So as we move into 2024, based off these type of signings, is the quality of the MLS actually getting better? Because that's what we've been hearing. And if you watch, yes, it does look like it's getting better, but in the grand scale, worldwide look at it, is the MLS actually improving? Number 2 here, with the league spending more money, does Ernst get more money as well to spend as well? Because the Union obviously are bringing in more money. I mean, they're playing in all these tournaments. They just finished 3rd in the Leagues Cup. They're selling off players. So there is some type of money here.
Right.
But we're still getting the same type of signings, even at the depth pieces. And so one has to wonder that as well. Is Ernst still getting the same type of budget for these offseasons? Now, we talked about it, Renee. We didn't necessarily need starting 11 talent. It would have been nice to add that on for sure. But the starting 11, for the most part, was set in stone. But like Jim has talked about, as recently as the Flamenco game, when you look at the teams and the amount of money that their whole entire salary or their salary cap does have there, it's a lot of money. And we're not putting in as nearly as much money there as well. So I understand the concerns that the fan base does have, because when you're looking around the league and you're sitting there with getting Javier Berdisio, no disrespect to these players, and Marcus Anderson, you're sitting there wondering like, when is our time to get these type of players and those type of big names? So that I do understand. It is tough though to kill this team for this type of model, because yes, it has worked. We have found players like this. Just don't look at it last offseason, but in general, Ernst has hit more than he has missed. So just to kind of calm down the fan base, it's unfortunately another wait and see type of situation.
It definitely is.
But like I've discussed, if they're going to spend money, it's going to be in the attack, because Gaza, Carranza, and Ua, those are hard players to replace. And typically the Union don't find those players, especially when they're trying to Union ball it. So when those players do go, which we've talked about it, Carranza could be gone soon, which we'll talk about later as well. Gazdag has been linked to Sheffield Wednesday. Ua, the clock is ringing on him as well. So we'll have to wait and see, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up some great points. A lot of people are hitting the panic button because, and myself, I'm not panicking. I think I'm just more frustrated because I find myself saying the same thing for the Phillies as I do the Union every day, of us all just kind of waiting for that piece.
Yep.
The piece to me is exactly as you mentioned, not someone that's going to come in. I don't need to see the Union spend $2 million. I don't need to see them bring in, Premier League, Champions League, top players or anything like that. But I would like them to bring in somebody that's probably, if I'm going to be extremely specific, 'cause I feel like you got to put out there exactly what you're looking for, manifest it. Don't leave room for error.
Yeah.
Somebody that's aged like 23 to 30.
Okay.
Nice wide range there. 7 years. 23 to 30, maybe 31, 32. But most likely 23 to 30. That is playing in whatever league that may be, whether it's in the MLS or internationally, playing at a high level that's comparable to the Union, and someone that is a key contributor. Contributor doesn't have to be you're scoring 40 goals.
Yeah.
Contributor can be you start, you play 90 minutes some games you might play 75. You're adding something offensively, because I do agree it's an offensive piece that's needed.
Yeah.
Getting assists, getting corners, helping to set up plays, whatever that may look like. Just give something that is of impact now. I think the Union absolutely also needed to add those young pieces because they do need depth.
Yeah.
That's something we talked about last season as a struggle, that down the stretch with all the games they had, you were relying on the same 5 backs, 4 midfielders, maybe 5 midfielders, depending on if Jose was healthy or Jesus Bueno was healthy, and the same 2 or 3 forwards in that sense. So your attack in general for forwards and mids needs more. So why not try to have these young pieces that you think can pan out to be someone that is, going to be able to, in the next 2-3 years, be a major cog in the wheel, like how Nate Harrell and Jack McGlynn are now.
Yeah.
But you still also need somebody now. You can't wait. And you can't, in my opinion, I think what's also frustrating is this team, with having so much talent that they already have, knowing that the Daniel Gazdags and Julian Carranzas are getting offers from others, and I know we'll talk about that more, why jeopardize losing more in this time when you can instead focus on, let's keep the pieces that we have.
Yeah.
Make sure they're happy. Make sure they're even from Jim all the way through. Make sure everybody's happy. Make sure everybody's feeling like, okay, we're moving in the right direction, and add to that versus jeopardizing, if you're not willing to pay and bring players in, maybe someone getting frustrated of, you know what? I don't want to run it back with the same roster because I want to be in a team that's closer to winning a championship. I'm going to go to a club in Europe.
Yeah.
So I think that's also what's frustrating me, because I feel like it'll be a missed opportunity if you allow this roster, which has so much talent. You've got a wide range of youth and players stepping up and veterans. Capitalize on that. Put together some sort of a move that allows them to be closer to winning now versus the same season that we had in 2023. And now you're going to have some really frustrated, forget just the fans, you're going to have some frustrated players. You're going to have some frustrated coaches if you run it back and have the same type of year in 2024.
Yeah, no, you hit on some important points there. And if you guys are watching live, thank you so much. Hit that like button, throw those comments in there as well. But the fact that this team has kept the core intact, I mean, the clock is ticking now. I mean, more pressure has been added on because now we're talking about another year you're running with this group here. And so, I guess that does beg the question. So if the clock is ticking on these guys, I don't want to kill the quality of these players because we just generally don't know. But wouldn't you possibly find maybe more expensive, more lucrative type of talents? It can still be young. They are out there. But we just discussed, if it's true that they got him on a free transfer, you're thinking to yourself, well, you're just trying to save some money, and hopefully this kid can be a good player, and then eventually down the line he helps you win some games now. You can sell him off in the future. So I guess the question a lot of fans are having, if we're just looking for depth pieces, shouldn't we still be spending more money if this is it for this team?
Oof. I mean, I guess what it comes down to is depth doesn't have to. To me, when I think of a depth piece, I don't think of a potential piece. So while, yes, I feel like these players that they've signed for free or in some cases just very low amounts, those are those future pieces. Those are the players that are more of your prospects that 2-3 years from now can possibly, maybe, will be, all the hypotheticals because we don't know for sure, a good player. A depth piece to me is someone like an Ali Bedoya, or a guy that you're going to sign for a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, even could be a 3-4 year deal with the expectation they're going to be a role player. They're going to be someone that's in the mix for starting, but more likely someone coming off the bench. But if needed to start, it's not a huge drop off. That to me is a depth piece that the Union need, and I feel like they are misunderstanding depth versus just bodies. I'm not saying just go out and get bodies. I mean, there's 3 of us in this room that could suit up. If you're willing to pay.
For yourself, Renee.
Yeah. Listen, they're not playing either. I don't see them suiting up for an MLS game. If you're willing to pay someone to just be on the field in training, I could be a practice cone. I could be a tom-tom. Do you know what tom-toms are?
No, what are tom-toms?
Do you know what tom-toms are? They have different names. So tom-toms are those practice dummies. They're shaped like a whole person.
Oh, for free kick practice.
And you work on them for free kicks.
Okay.
Or we would do passing patterns, or we'd have tom-toms stationed around and you're trying to work on spinning off the defender. They're literally I don't know. Some people call them something different, but they have a whole weighted bottom, legs and a fake little body, and they just kind of stand there with a shape of a head. And now when you're working on your corner kicks or set pieces, you don't want to hit the tom-tom. I could be the tom-tom. I could even be that.
I wonder where they got this name.
What are you going to do? You're just going to stand there and arms at your side?
The arms are out.
You can't move.
Damn, Tyler, quit being such a tom, man.
I would be a tom-tom. Listen, that's basically what they're bringing in for some of these players. Just in all seriousness, you want to bring in players that are going to add to the practice environment, not be a tom-tom, but someone that's going to add to the practice environment, that's going to help raise the bar, that's going to push your starters that, hey, I'm coming for your job if you don't get it together, and that eventually and hopefully can be able to get and earn playing time. So don't hire us. Don't bring us in. Although, the offer still stands. I saw you at Media Day, the clips of you and Tyler. I haven't seen you, but I saw you out there juggling. To me, that was enough. I saw enough footage of you.
My best days are well behind me. And I don't even know if they were the best days. They're just the not worst days.
They're just the days.
Yeah.
So whoever watches games here with us at PHLY Studios, so they will know that I have ADHD, the worst part of it. And so when I'm watching games here, so right now I'm obviously watching a lot of Flyers games here, I have to have the ball at my feet. I don't know if it's a nervous tick or something, but I have this ball at my feet. I'm juggling. I'm kicking against the wall, practicing pass.
Yep, getting a whole session in, getting a whole practice in.
Maybe Renee is right about something. But I'm going to tell you something that we are also right about as well, and that is our sponsor here today, Bagels & Co. It is the best place, ladies and gentlemen, to get your bagels here in the beautiful city of Philadelphia. Brooklyn-style bagels made here in Philadelphia. They have also the biggest bagels in Philly as well, ladies and gentlemen. You talk about small prices large prices with small portions. Well, not Bagels & Co. Not only do they have the biggest bagels, but they also are the most affordable as well. And with a large variety, they have 15 to 20 types to choose from daily. And we also have seasonal bagels as well. We had the Christmas bagel not too long ago. Definitely, they had the Christmas bagel not too long ago. Definitely check that out. They also have the largest cream cheese selection as well. So guys, just plain cream cheese is not going to cut it anymore. So definitely check out the 30 different flavors they have for cream cheeses, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, right now, head on over to www.thebagelsandco.com. Find your local store as well, and make sure to let them know that PHLY sent you. So thank you to our sponsor here today, Bagels & Co.
All right. Well, while we're talking about spots you can get your finances saved and save big, you can also make sure to take advantage of your finances for house planning. And that's at Mortgage CS. So Mortgage CS, which stands for Concierge Service, focus on being a white glove service right here in Philadelphia, where they give full control of the lenders they work with. They provide 24/7 customer service, and they're an independent mortgage broker. Now, the great thing about Mortgage CS that I enjoyed from learning about them myself and having conversations with them is they're very focused on educating and empowering their clients. They want to make sure that they can help their clients obtain ultra competitive rates. And that way they can make sure they're providing exceptional customer service and really trying to take the stress off of the whole house buying process. The market out here for houses, whether you're renting, buying, whatever, selling an arm, a leg to try to get into it, it's difficult. So with Mortgage CS, they have lots of easy tools that make the mortgage process more approachable. They try to simplify things as much as they possibly can. And they really want to make sure that when you hear the word mortgage, you think of Mortgage CS. You think of Ben and Alec. Ben, their CEO, wants you guys to know you can also even just reach out 24/7, call, text, email, whatever, just to chop it up. You want to chat about your favorite spots to go hang out and watch games. You want to talk about your frustrations with the weather or where you want to go vacation. Talk to Ben. So Ben has even given you a chance to reach out to him directly. His phone number, 267-391-7425. You can reach out via email at ben@mortgagecs.com. Call, text, email any time of day, any questions you have, mortgage related, house buying related, even sports related, food related, vacation, clothes, whatever it is, reach out and chat with them. So you can check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to be able to get started today. Because again, at Mortgage Concierge Service, aka Mortgage CS, they do a fantastic job connecting with you and helping to connect you with your future home. So this that's a great line, actually. Wow. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID number 1464766. And you can visit mortgagecs.com for more information. I feel like I just dropped a slight bar there.
Hey.
Connect with you, and connect you with your future home. Okay.
One more point about Marcus Anderson, though, because we've talked about a lot of frustrations because of the signing and the amount of money and quality player, but the fit on the team.
Right.
Like a lot of us did. We're straight to YouTube because, Marcus Anderson. Yeah, Marcus Anderson's not a household name, right? Unfortunately. So watching him play, it is obvious that he's very comfortable as a winger. He played a lot as a winger in Spain from a lot of the highlights that we watch. And as we all know, we don't really run with wingers. But I did feel like I saw a lot of Quinn Sullivan out there. So keep in mind, he's 5'10", 170 pounds, and he still has room to grow with his body here. And so he's big, he's physical, he's got speed, and that's something that Ernst did mention as well, his physicality and his speed as a striker here, and when talking about Marcus as a player. But it's going to be interesting how they're going to fit another player who typically, just what we saw off of small clips doesn't really fit the Union system. You have Joaquin Torres that kind of fits that as well, Quinn Sullivan too. So it begs the question, Renee, will we finally get to see maybe some wingers in this formation? Maybe second half, a little change up, a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. Listen, I understand what we try to do. I understand why we play the two forwards. It is kind of progressive here for the Union. A lot of teams are now following suit in the MLS with the two forward system, but there is a part of me that would like to see some of these players play in a system like the 4-3-3 with that freedom out there. You could still have pressing implements in there, but it does raise the question, like, could we see maybe some wingers here?
Yeah, and I mean, first things first, I do want to see him play. And I know Dan in the chat, and what's up, Dan? Nice to have you here, is talking about the anger to this signing is crazy because we haven't even seen Marcus play yet. And yet people are already, as you and I talked about and as we've seen, already just showing so much frustration with this signing. And look, Marcus has had he's had some interesting experience. So in 2023, he made 18 appearances, 14 of those starts. He scored 3 goals. This was with CF Rio Majadahonda. Made his debut in April of 2023. And then he also, in Spain, or I should say in Manhattan, huge difference. Started his youth career with the Manhattan Kickers, as we talked about, being from New York, played with them. Then prior to joining CF Rayo, he played for the U19 team before joining Club Deportiva Básico, Paracuellos Altamira in the third division, I should say. Or fifth division, Tercera Federación. Hey. So in that, he scored 10 goals, had 4 assists, and 29 appearances, 20 starts. Listen, I don't think any of his stats jump off the page at you, and I don't expect him to come in and be, the goal scorer that's going to change things for the Union. But exactly as you mentioned, there's need for changes in how they look and how they play in their formation to solidify at least what their best formation is. It's okay to have flexibility that if needed, you can flip into a 3-back or, twin strikers. But I would love for the Union to find their best formation. I like the 4-3-3. I think it's a great formation that allows you to have, especially for your midfielders, space and movement. I just don't know if they have the midfield personality for it.
Possibly,
and your 3-front can't be, straight running 3-front. They've got to be able to interchange and make runs across and overlap and be more dynamic.
So real quick to that point, that's on Jim then.
And that is on Jim. That's not about the signings.
You have the
exactly.
freedom.
You have to instill in your team, regardless what formation they're playing, that free-flowing movement to make dynamic runs off the ball. So I think to have youth, to me, is also, you're trying to shake things up a little bit. These are young players. They're hungry. As you're talking about, Dan, we've never seen a major signing. We've never seen the Union spend a lot of money. I agree. So to bring in these young pieces, I'm thinking the expectation is bring in more guys that are going to at least work their butts off, compete, make preseason challenging, work for everything. I know Julian Carranza was even talking last week, about how he's impressed with how the youngsters have been working so hard.
And there's a lot of them now.
You have these players, as much as we let's take a step back. As much as we like the big name signings, and I'm one of them, when you have these young players that are getting their first opportunities and their first taste at a chance to play with a team like the Union, they're coming in humble, grateful, excited to be there, working hard. They're probably showing up early. They're probably the ones that are shaking the coach's hands after. I remember what that was like as a player. They kind of check you in a bit because whoa, wait a minute. Here I am, the old dog. I'm getting a little bit complacent where I just show up, strolling in there any time of day, practice and leave. They're the ones that are doing extra before, doing extra after. They work, they go the extra mile. They're touching the line with their fingertips instead of just their toes. That might honestly be needed, that this team needs to shake things up because their culture and identity needs to be kind of woken up, that you need to put the work in. And so from that standpoint, I don't mind some of these young players because they're going to be excited and thrilled to be there. And at times, as we talked about, the Union did not have that same hunger. And then on the other side, in terms of tactics, as you mentioned, why not bring in some players that can be versatile? Maybe someone like Markus. Don't think it'll happen as soon as the next weeks and opening day, but maybe down the line, Markus can be a piece that allows you to have different options. He can play out wide in the 3-front for forwards. He can maybe be a twin striker. Gives you that flexibility and that, honestly, just changes that you need in how you're tactically lining up and how you're playing. So now I'm kind of talking myself into a little bit, to be honest. Bring in 4, 5, 6 new faces, new blood, hungry, excited to be there. Shake things up a bit for the Julians and the Daniels. Even Quinn already has that. I think Ty, when he gets healthy, has that. Joaquin Torres has that. Bring in those young pups that are really just happy to be there and going to challenge everybody, no matter what age you are, how much money you're making, that are just ready to show what they can do.
Renee's
so I think I'm not convincing myself.
Renee's with the cop the Markus Anderson kid. I like it.
You know what? The more I'm talking it out loud, I kind of get it a little bit. I've been there, and I do feel like you sometimes need those rookies that are going to come in and just challenge everybody. And this team needs to be challenged, starting in practice, not just in games. But what's up, Julian, Elijah? I know what's going on my soapbox here. But Julian, you're saying the same thing of not judging until we see how Markus fits in. There's definitely frustrations. We're all frustrated for sure. And Elijah, you're saying the club is doomed if they won't spend money. Yeah, ultimately. But I think I just convinced myself of at least one thing that these young additions that are not expensive can bring. just to shake up the culture.
Yeah, so for me, like the reason why I bring that up is because like those players that I mentioned.
I don't even know
Markus,
if I answered your question, by the way, but here we are.
But like Markus, Joaquin, and Quinn, I want to put them in the best because I think they can genuinely help us. Like I think those guys can give you. I shouldn't say Markus. We'll find out. But Quinn and Joaquin especially.
Yes.
Those guys, I genuinely believe that they can give you something coming off the bench, but I don't think coming off the bench to a 4-2-3-1 or a 3-5-2 is going to get the most out of them. So that's why I throw that out there, possibly throw in some different tactics, because like we talked about in the last episode, like even in 2019, like that threw teams off so much when you're pressing, and you're tired. And now in the second half, Elsinio's killing you with his elasticos. Like that's something this team really hasn't had. I mean, Corey Burke was that. Like that was a change of pace. That was something different. And that led us to an MLS Cup final appearance. So I would love to find a way. I think the super subs are on this team, but if you don't put these guys in the right position, what exactly are we doing? And to Dan's point right there about the DPs, yeah, we're not spending messy money on a DP, and I get that. But what I will say, and I want to shout out Silver Ray from Twitter because we had this great discussion on Twitter. Renee, we're not spending huge money on DPs, but if you look at the DPs, they're producing more than any DPs are. If you consider the amount that you're spending on our DPs, the production these DPs are giving you, that is definitely, and that's something to kind of look at there. And like the point is, like I know we all want the Union to spend more money because we want bigger players here, but Ernst is spending money the smart way. We could be Chicago. We could spend a ridiculous amount for Shaqiri for him to just relax and enjoy his Chicago steak on the river. Like that could be Philly, but that's not Philly. So I think at some point, like we do have to find a way to get in the middle, like between bargain buying and spending big money on big players.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Ua and Gazdag, the two players that are DPs. Listen, we're not expecting Union to spend any money. That's for sure. We're all in agreement on that. I do think one of the main reasons why we like Quinn Sullivan is he is that young, fiery,
you see some
aggressive.
Crazy goals from him.
Yeah, and it makes you excited because it makes you wonder what's possible. He just goes out there, he works his tail off. I know we were talking about it before. I know, Julian, you were agreeing with us of how much we like Quinn, but you just need players that aren't. Like you have one side of a Julian Carranza, Daniel Gazdag, Mikel Ua, who are getting these offers, and they're like, they're talking through these offers, and every season and every month and every week at this point, it's will they still be here? Will they leave? You want somebody that's here,
yeah.
And I don't want to hear. And I want to hear. There are teams interested because there's always going to be clubs interested, but they're not even considering leaving. Like they know they want to be in Philly. This is where they plan to be. This is home for them. This is where they want to win games and win hardware. They want to be here, and that it shows in how they play. And I'm not saying it doesn't for them, but it really does for Quinn. Like you get the vibe that Quinn is just always happy to be out there, making the most of his minutes, ready to do whatever he possibly can to help the team first, selfless. And again, not saying they're selfish and the opposite of all those things, but they're kind of caught in between where you're like half in, half out, and you don't really know, will I be here in 6 months or 3 months? Will I not? So I'm not saying any of these young signings are a Quinn Sullivan, but I think at least hearing that someone like Markus has speed and good physicality and he's young, he's progressing at a good rate, makes me excited that maybe he can be a Quinn Sullivan. Maybe he can be a Joaquin Torres. I think Joaquin Torres, what I like about his game is he just tries things. He's not the most talented. He's not someone that's going to come out and every touch be perfect. Nobody is. But whenever you see him on the pitch, he's trying to make runs. He's trying to make moves. He'll try to pull out a Maradona here and there. Like, why not? I understand that you got to know what you're capable of. There are limits to that. Don't get me wrong. But why not try something? You know, in this sport, in any sport, you're missing every shot you're not taking. So at least he's trying to, as cliche as that is, trying to do something different outside of the box. Whereas I feel like the Union at times just gets stuck and pigeonholed. So I don't know.
And there's like this discourse as well I've been hearing about like the youth academy kind of being at a standstill. I mean, like, let's be real. We haven't had a really big signing from the youth academy since Mark and Brandon back in 21. And I think it's important that you do mention that because although we're not selling players out like we were in 21, but the culture is being built with Quinn, with Nate, with Jack. And those guys were important pieces of this team last year. And this year, they're going to be an important piece again. So as you're mentioning, keeping players here to try to win, I think that's what we're doing here. And as we move forward to the next class or the next era of young homegrowns, hopefully some of the young players in this that we just signed here, also part of that too. But it's just a constant rotation.
Yeah.
And it's like a college program. Like,
It
why is
is. That's a
Alabama
great comparison.
is so successful? Now that Nick Saban's retired, we'll see. But before Nick Saban,
And this past season wasn't that great as a Bama fan.
before the retired Nick Saban, they were constantly putting great class after great class. So that has to continue going, and that's all about culture, and it's just passing it on, passing the torch down to the next generation. And you're hoping that Quinn and Jack and Nate can continue doing that, because that's also the key piece here. If we're going to continue growing like this, you're going to need to continue finding those homegrown players to help you produce and be a starting 11 type of player.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're talking about, we are getting closer to the start of the season, which means we're getting closer to game time.
Hey.
And so make sure you're taking advantage of the great deals at the Game Time app. So you can download the Game Time app on your phone. You can use code PHLY to be able to get a nice $20 off of your purchase. They already have great prices. They simplify the ticket buying process for you. They also give you a chance to be able to see where your tickets are located before you get there, so you know your view of the field, the court, the concert, the comedy show, whatever it is you're going to attend with the Game Time app. So again, check out Game Time app, download the app, use the code PHLY, get $20 off of your purchase. And then when you show up to that game, it makes it even that much better. You don't have to worry about printing out tickets. That's such a thing of my childhood. Or even looking for your tickets on your phone and having Wi-Fi issues, which definitely has happened to me on several occasions. With the Game Time app, your tickets are right there on your phone, easy to scan, get you into your seats, get your treats, and have some fun. I'm just dropping these bars. I don't even know who I am these days. All right. The last thing I want to say on this, to Dan's question, I'll stop tooting my own horn, toot toot, is about the starting 11.
Okay. I
would love to see a 4-3-3 starting 11. The back four with Nate and Kai on the outside back. Jack and, yes. I almost said Jake. Jack and Jacob at center back. Of course, Andre's in goal. I don't think I need to say that. Midfield, Jose, Jesus, and Jack. And then up top can be Julian, Daniel, and Quinn.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I think because of the fact that the Union don't have a strong 4 midfielders until that signing that will happen, I think 3 in the midfield makes most sense. And then I don't know who's coming in for any of them. I guess it's Leon Flock when he's healthy. But then up top, I wouldn't start Ua. Quinn Sullivan could also slide into the midfield, and maybe Ua's up top. We've got some options there, but I think right now that's what I'm leaning on as the best 11. But I still would love to have somebody that's, as I just was on the signings trail of like being so excited about the possibilities of a culture shakeup, I still would like to have one more flexible piece that can slide into the midfield or up top.
Okay.
To add as a true competitor for a starting spot.
Okay.
What about you?
To Dan's question, I think the starting 11 is really strong. There's a reason why they've been to two out of 3 past years been Eastern Conference Finals appearances. So it's still really strong. If you're looking to improve upon it, obviously the right side of the midfield is still a question. Is Jesus going to be the starter there?
Yeah,
possibly.
He'd be a great off the bench piece again.
Yeah, but you could definitely probably find an improvement there, since Ali, we're probably looking at more of a bench piece here this year. I look throughout the rest of this team. Ua, we keep talking about it. We're waiting for him to kind of break out in the way we thought he would. That's definitely a position you can improve upon. But Ed Brujo is one of the best 6s in the league. You have 2 of the best center backs in the league. You have one of the best fullbacks in the league. You have the best goalkeeper in the league. Nathan Harriel just came off of a great season where he's probably going to continue improving upon this year. And more importantly, Dan, when this team is together, healthy, they're clicking on all cylinders. It's summertime in Chester, Pennsylvania. It is hard to beat the Philadelphia Union. The main problems last year was going down the stretch. You've already played 50 games in the year altogether with all the competitions you've been playing. And Gazak seems to have lost gas. Carranza seems to have lost gas. Everyone seems to have lost gas. And that is where my main concern is. I'm not really worried about the starting 11. I'm more concerned once we get to September. What does this team look like? What does this team's health look like as well? And are you playing them every single match, every single minute up to that point?
They have to start every game.
Yeah, because obviously you're not going to have much of Gazak again. And like we talked about, the excuses cannot be there this year because you have been prepared for that moment there. So I think the starting 11 I'm fine with the starting 11. The 4-4-2 diamond, Blake in goal, Wagner, Glesnes, Elliott, not in Bison, we're Harriel now at the right back. The midfield diamond with I'm going Jack at the left, and Brew at the 6. I'm starting with Jesus Bueno at the right, Gazak at the tip of the diamond, and then I'm still going with Ua and Carranza only because this is a big year for Ua. Ua has to come out and he has honestly. Like I don't think like he needs to have like a 20+ goal season. Like I think a lot of us would like for that to happen, but it can't be that was like 9 goals he scored last year.
Yeah.
It has to be closer to the 16 he scored back in 22. So that to me is where I'm at with the starting 11. I know we're a little bit soured on it, but when together, it's really hard to beat this team.
Yeah. That's the thing. For 1-2 games, it's a great 11. It's the longevity of the season of now 58, 59 games that becomes a concern for the Union. Something else that broke this week, even though it's only Tuesday, we've gotten some news.
On Tuesday.
Brandon Craig, this is what helped make... well, honestly, this is mostly, in my opinion, it just helps for Brandon Craig. Yeah. Most importantly, because the Union have are in the process of inking the finals parts of the deal, but... Brandon Craig will be on loan to El Paso Locomotive, which is the USL Championship side. With that, at 19 years old, he should get some good minutes. Craig did not get any minutes in the MLS with Austin. He got 1 MLS appearance total. That was with the Union. Even with the youth national team, he's been in and out. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen him get major minutes there. Mm-hmm. We all remember the reports of him possibly going to Everton, which fell through. So now going to the USL Championship side, El Paso Locomotive, seems like the best option for him to be loaned there to have a chance to actually get some meaningful minutes and see what his career can be. I know there were... all these questions about like what's the point of having him here, and he didn't obviously play in the preseason games because of there was all this expectation he was going to get moved, and so finally he gets moved. Finally he's got a home, and hopefully finally he gets to play because this Brandon Craig situation has been very odd, to be honest. And they don't need him. Like you have Damian Lowe now who has been steady there. It'd be great to have another backup, but center back's a weird position that you don't really need.
I'm just intrigued because we did sign
another backup, by the way. Let me finish that sentence. You do need a center back.
So I guess I wanted to throw this to you as well because we did sign all the way through Makahanya last year with the under 22 initiative. And Brandon is younger than all the way through, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's 19, Brandon.
So like, do the Union just don't see him in the same light now? Because if they went and signed all the way through knowing that Brandon could have been back at the end of the season, so that tells me that all the way through, in general, they could have found a better option for the future for Brandon Craig. Obviously, it's tough for all the way through or Brandon because Lowe stepped up so big last year to get minutes. But it is interesting, like the fact that they decided to go with all the way through over Brandon Craig. But I will say with this move, obviously it's big. He gets go to a place where he should get consistent minutes, and that's the big part. He should. If you guys remember, last year we did loan off Cole Turner to Locomotive. Didn't work out, but we obviously have that connection, and the Union in general lately seem to be more inclined with loaning out their players, which is definitely dope. I'm happy he didn't go to Everton because, as everyone knows, it's a mess over there. They're having financial issues. And then if the team does get relegated to the championship, which I think they're safe right now, but if they do get relegated, playing in the championship, Renee, it is so tough. And for a young player like that, I could be detrimental for their development. So I'm glad he's going to Locomotive. USL's become such a much more viable option for development as the past couple of years have gone on. And so
definitely,
as long as he gets consistent minutes, I think this is going to bode well for his future, and we'll see what happens to Brandon Craig.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. You've got, for center back, you already have Jack and Jacob. You've got Damian as a backup. You definitely also have Aloethu, who's also 19, by the way.
Okay.
So you don't need 5 center backs.
That's true.
You don't need and especially center back's not a position you sub. You're really only pulling a center back if they're injured or if it's just, load management essentially with them having so many minutes that you want to get Damian Lowe some meaningful minutes and slot him in. And Damian Lowe has proven, as we saw last year, he can be the starting center back and be just fine. And he got better as the season went on. So I'm comfortable with him as that third option. If you're going to a 3-back or if you need to just start him in general at center back, that Aloethu is that true backup number 4 piece. So best of luck to Brandon Craig. I know Tyler's got a nugget for us on Everton.
The Toffees.
Yeah, so JP, they are currently sitting in 18th in the Premier League. So they would, if the season ended today, obviously long way to go. But if the season ended today, they would be relegated. They currently are in a draw, a 0-0 draw with Fulham at the 73rd minute.
Ooh, live game updates.
Yeah, they are down. So like I said, they're down 1 point in the standings. But it's not looking good because it looks like they may be even further back. Because is it Luton or Luton? Luton, right?
I think it's Luton.
Luton Town is currently beating Brighton and Hove 4-0.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, see, like, even in a relegation battle, like, Brandon probably won't even play. He was not going to get any type of minutes.
And we all, much like Dan is saying in the chat, we just want to see him get some consistent playing time. Doesn't have to be a 90-minute player, but
be cool to play for
Lord, he's
Everton.
19 years old, and he's been bounced around from spot to spot and looking for a home and hasn't played. Like and it's weird because he was like too good for the Union too. They felt like he wasn't going to get enough. He wasn't going to get challenged enough. Austin was supposed to be the option. Didn't play there at all. Obviously hasn't played with the Union. It's just time for him to go somewhere to be able to actually play and develop. At 19, you should not, like, your career is still, there's still so much more. Yeah, you don't need to be bouncing around team to team. So glad that he's finally found what hopefully is a good home for him. As we talked about Julian Carranza, though.
Okay.
Talk about bouncing around. Hopefully he's not bouncing around anywhere else, because there have been reports, as Jonathan Tannenwald came out and spoke about, that Julian Carranza turned down offers from multiple teams in Europe that he doesn't want to go to, including Werder Bremen. He said if the sort of team he does want to go to doesn't have significant money to pay for him, this could be awkward. That's what Tannenwald was saying. So I saw some other nuggets that, like, Werder Bremen wanted to sign Julian if Rafael Borre left, but he rejected the offer anyways. So still a candidate for moving. Also, there's been some other players he's been linked to replacing with Werder as well, like Niklas Füllkrug. So teams are eyeing him. That we do know. There's absolutely a lot of anticipation of what's going to happen with Julian Carranza. Will it be him? Will it be Daniel Gazdag? Will it be both? But I'm glad he's turning down offers. I don't know what's being said or not being said in terms of, I want to be here. This is, I'm happy here. You know, I don't know the extent of all those details of what he's actually saying, but turning them down is a good start.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's crazy, like, you're telling me this, because, like, now my national team and my club team are, like, crossroading here, because Rafael Santos Borré, like, Renee, I've heard him compared to, you named the striker, the forward in Colombia, and, like, we've been waiting forever, and he just hasn't been able to just jump, like, become the Falcao essentially. But it's funny that, like, he's like, it's between Carranza or Santos Borré. But, you know, it was interesting that we talked about before, like, he did decline the Bundesliga. Like, I would, if I'm a player like Carranza, I would love to go to the Bundesliga, because I think, like, it's such a great place to develop your game further. And I don't know if he's fully there yet as far as being a consistent, like what Tati Castellanos is doing right now in Europe is truly remarkable. He just, like, I'm going off track here, but this past weekend, he's now at Lazio. He almost scored a bicycle kick, but it got called offsides. And, like, everyone was watching that. I was like, what? And this player played for MLS. So, like, that's what we're hoping for. Carranza goes there. He grabs, you know, a bunch of eyes. We're like, wait, he came from MLS? That's kind of what we're hoping for here for Carranza. But we'll wait and see. I think it's going to be a summertime thing, Renee. I think he's waiting for the best opportunity. And also, too, he's very family oriented. So I think it's not only going to be a decision for his soccer or his footballing, but also where his family would like to go to as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, on the soccer side, you've got Werder Bremen, who is number 9 currently in standings in the Bundesliga. They've got teams like Bayern and Dortmund ahead of them. But they're in the mix. You know, they're right there. Versus some of the other teams that we saw, like a Sheffield Wednesday that was tied to Daniel Gazdag, that was hitting towards the bottom 3 of the league. So, yeah, I think it would be a great opportunity. The Bundesliga is obviously a very high level. But as you mentioned, you wonder, and this is where I would love to have heard something. Like, I wish soccer was at a point where we had more transparency and we could have Julian Carranza in a press conference. Somebody asks him about it, and he says, you know, ultimately, I wanted to stay here for my fiance, my future. I'm starting my family. Philly is home. You get that opportunity in other sports. You get a chance to hear why. And eventually we will, if somebody asks him after like a game. But I just feel like it'd be great to have access. I know, as we talked about before, in terms of preseason access, but in general to have access where we can hear directly from them, or even from a representative. It could be an agent. It could be one of the coaches that lets us know this is why Julian's turning down these offers. Just to hear he rejected these offers could be anything. It could be the offer wasn't big enough. It could also be he just is not interested in moving and wants to stay with the Union. But it leaves such a wide range of speculation and just wondering that I would love for them to kind of silence it. And as we know, they could give us the politically correct responses of like, at this time, this is what I feel like is best for me in my career, rah. But at least we'd hear something, and now we just have to speculate and wonder why he rejected all these offers, if he really wants to leave, if he wants to stay. There's just too much. My brain can't handle all this.
I'm with you. I want more drama. I want problems.
Give me the drama. Give me the details. I just want details and transparency. I want to be nosy. This is why we like to cover teams, to know the insight of what's going on, and we don't know what's going on.
Especially like I love that like
dark.
Sports fans, especially like the male sports fans who say like, I don't like reality TV. I don't like gossip.
Reality.
Literally, that's what we watch all day. What do you think NBA free agency is? It's literally gossip.
24/7 gossip.
We're here for the
did you hear that so-and-so is rumored to... Julian Carranza reportedly turned down these offers? How is that any different than... did you hear Jessica turned down these offers for a date from Miguel? Like, it's the same thing.
I literally came to you guys. The first thing I said to you guys when I came to the office, like, did you guys see the ticket prices for opening day for the Phillies? Like, this is what we do.
You're gossiping.
I'm a gossiper. A little cheeseman.
You look at you, cheeseman. Look at you, reality TV gossiper. But we can't gossip without the tea.
Yeah.
Where is the tea? I need to know more. I need more information. Why did Julian Carranza turn down these offers? How many were there? What teams were involved? Who was courting him? When did they last reach out? How long ago was this? Did this happen like this morning? Did it happen like 2 days ago? I need the tea.
Yeah, especially like last year, all that drama we had with Ali, before Kai's racial stuff, like the contract stuff, like all that type of stuff, we would just like to know a little bit more.
That's it. We just want more, leaving us with a cliffhanger here.
Literally.
The other thing that I was thinking about really quickly before we move on to some other MLS and Brendan Aronson things to wrap up the show, which is my... Tyler's going to laugh at me when I say that, because I always say that and then I'll be like, 25 more minutes of talking. But we are going to wrap up soon. So... I hate to even throw this question out there because it is going to open up a can of worms, but I just want to, this is just food for thought.
Okay.
We've seen other teams in Philly alone, let's forget the MLS, make a major free agency signing, a trade that drastically changed their team. For the Phillies, I'm not even going to bring up Bryce Harper because even though that's the best that we've seen in Philly.
For sure.
For any sport, free agency. Trey Turner. You had the Eagles make a major move to be able to bring in A.J. Brown.
Right.
Not too long ago, the Flyers brought in someone like Owen Tippett. Then the Sixers this year alone, Kelly Oubre and Robert Covington. When will the Union make that type of a move? Like, what is that roster? I mean, Ua, I guess, and Carranza were supposed to be that when they were brought in. But when will we truly see that type of a move for the Union of... They don't have to spend a ton of money. Spending money, but it also pans out where we're getting actual consistent production.
Marco Fabian didn't do it for you? I'm just kidding. No. That was legitimate. Well, I guess Rosenbull, I guess, was another one, but those are like the two instances where the Union tried to spend money and like that got us all excited.
And when was that, JP?
Well, Rosenbull, obviously, that was a disaster. But Marco Fabian has a very interesting legacy.
The year.
Oh, the year. Oh, okay. Well, yes. Like what, 2015 and 2019?
Exactly. It's 2024. I mean, now, not back then, because those were moves that were attempts, and the legacy was what it was. Mm-hmm. But in the last like 2-3 years, it's Ua, it's Carranza, but. I would like to go back. I know this name. I don't want to get into the can of worms with this name, but like I look back at I know Tyler's gonna like this, back to like 1980, and like when the Phillies picked up Pete Rose, and we saw how Pete Rose took the Phillies to the next level. I want to find like that type of player where he's already good and it takes the Union to that next level because they're right there. That's it.
Or T.O. work better.
That's literally it. Like what we have seen in the history of Philly sports, one or two major moves that put teams in a championship category. The Union have already been in the championship category. They're just really missing that piece. Yeah. Now, I hate to be a hypocrite and contradict everything I said about the excitement of the culture change with the youth, but it just had me thinking with the signing, what are the Union waiting for? And I'm not gonna quote Scary Movie again or The Incredibles, but what are you waiting for? When is it gonna happen that we're gonna get that Trey Turner deal, that Owen Tippett trade, whatever, something, trade, free agency, find him on the sidewalk, some sort of a signing, find him shopping for groceries, and he drops an apple and juggles it back into his hands. Like, I don't care where you find them.
just like an example.
Find them.
But the thing is, Renee, like, I generally don't think it would take a lot to get Philadelphia excited for the Union. Like, even like just an example, like even if you brought in like Andres Guardado, who like a lot of soccer fans know who Andres Guardado is, like if you brought that, even like the people who don't know soccer, if the soccer people explain that to them, I think they would get excited. Be like, oh, Andres Guardado, like, and a player like along the lines.
Shake the city up.
But it really would. And like, I know like winning has really helped with tickets. Like we've been selling out Subaru Park the past couple of years because we've been really good. But imagine you bringing a player here. And that's like the thing too, like bringing in a bigger player, not only is going to help you win, but you're so worried about making money. It just makes sense in every single term. I mean, what, you're going to have to pay a little bit more on the payroll? I mean, come on. Like in the long run, it helps.
It's
helps
an
with
investment.
Tickets, helps with merchandise. It just helps with the overall look, not only in the city, but in the world. Like this is soccer. It's a worldwide sport. So
I know.
I hear you on that.
I know Julian saying in the chat, Sugarman is the opposite spectrum of, the middle, John Middletons and Laurie and everybody else in the city. And that a signing, would be a shock if that happened. I agree with you. And that's why I'm like, realistically, I know we won't get that. We won't get to see that. But also, forget even trying to keep up with the MLS. The city has fully embodied being underdogs, but having those one or two main pieces, main signings, main names that are household names. And I'm going to take this can of worms one more little baby step. Who is even the face of the Union? Andre Blake. It was Ali Bedoya. It's a goalkeeper, and it's a player that you're not even possibly not bringing back this season. Yeah. And Ali Bedoya, like, you don't have a face because you won't pay to bring in the face of the team, which means, as you mentioned, JP, ticket sales, jerseys. If you're buying your family a Union jersey, who are you buying it of? You don't know. Whereas you can ultimately say and definitively say, I want a Bryce Harper jersey. I want a Joel Embiid jersey. I want, Travis Konechny jersey. You don't have that. I want a Jalen Hurts jersey or Jason Kelce. There could even be tiers to it. It can be the most talented. It could be the most likable. We've got the most likable. Ali was that. You've got that like unsung dog. Okay, that's Andre Blake. Who is the most talented? The guy that kids when they're watching the Union want to be like, or when fans are buying jerseys, they want to buy that jersey for. So that's on my soapbox. I'm gonna just leave that right there. I'm just gonna be right there.
I hear you. I mean, you're not wrong at all. And like, this is something that the majority of the fan bases can continue pleading from this team. But
bring in the guy.
And the reality is unfortunately, Jay, he's continuous to see winning on the pitch. He continues to see his bank account increase. And it's just like, for him, it's just like, well, why would I change anything? Mm-hmm. I got best of both worlds. I'm winning, and I'm winning with my finances as well. Yep. And Jay, listen, he's smart. He knew right off the jump that this was going to be, like, when he signed on as an MLS owner, he knew that this was going to be a profitable league. And every year, it's at the beginning. I know everyone thinks like they make a bunch of money. Like, they don't make a lot of money in the beginning. He wasn't really making profits.
Right.
But I find it extremely hard to believe in 2024, with all the sales that we've had, with the amount of tickets that we sold, Leagues Cup wins, all these tournament wins that we've had, that he's not making money right now. And so, Jay, you have one of the craziest sports cities with one of the craziest sports fan cultures out there. Mm-hmm. You signed up for this, my man. So you decide what you want to do. But the fans have made their voices heard.
And as you guys are talking about in the chat, just a couple of days after his birthday, Joaquin Torres is not even on the Champions Cup roster that was submitted.
Yeah, we got that here.
He celebrates a birthday and also, you get some more time at home. You're not going to be playing. But yeah, it's wild. It's wild to think about. I know Dan, Jose, Julian, everybody that's here. Nice to have you guys here. For those listening on podcast platforms or listening to the show back, we're all in agreement. We're all on the same page with the frustration of, still waiting for that. But as we wrap up, because we are nearing, or we have reached, I should say, our hour, there are some other news that have broken out. And, I'm not going to read through all of them. I'm not going to read through all of them, guys. But LAFC, LA Galaxy, Colorado Rapids, Vancouver, Inter Miami, as the English transfer window is a closing, we are still seeing moves. Moves on moves. Moves that are happening with bringing in players from outside the MLS that are scoring goals. As I'm looking at the different names that I have written down here that are going to come in and be the DP, 26 years old for LAFC's a signing of Edward Atuesta. 23 for CF Montreal, even signed Bulgarian midfielder Yankov, 23 years old. Colorado Rapids actually loaned a player, but still making a move. It's just, it's just a common theme that we're seeing, guys. We're just getting plenty of moves that are happening. Extensions, signings. The big 27-year-old center back, Tristan Blackman for Vancouver, was signed to an extension. Okay, we're keeping a 27-year-old. Okay, that's all. I'm done.
No, the big one, though, Renee, only because this club has been compared to us a lot over the past couple of years. FC Dallas notoriously have had one of the best youth academies along with the Philadelphia Union. Renee, they dished money. They signed Peter Musa from Benfica in Portugal, which is one of the best. They probably have the best development team over there in Portugal. They signed him for a $10 million fee plus $3 million on add-ons. It's a record deal for FC Dallas. And yeah, I mean, when you're the Union and you've been compared to FC Dallas and Dallas is splashing money on a Croatian player who, I mean, I'll be honest, I'll say now, I just based off of his background, I expect him to make a huge splash coming into this league. It does sting a little bit.
It does, because I'm watching all the time as the MLS and MLS transfers and MLS rumors and all the different accounts are posting these updates of other teams, and it's kind of like you're the last one picked for kickball. You're like, when is it my turn? What about me? Pick me.
And this is
everybody
else
else
could do too. Why can't the Union do this? Isn't a household name.
No, and it's not an expensive deal.
No, and he comes from a set place where they have developed good players, and I just don't know. But like this one definitely stings because you sit there and you say, Union, Jay, Ernst, we can do that as well, and we're not.
And that's the thing. The deals that I saw, it's on loan, 3-year deal, 4-year deal, 5-year deal. Wow, say that 5 times fast. 3-year deal, 4-year deal, 5-year deal. There you go. That's happening. That's allowing them to secure players that'll be able, as you mentioned, at least get the team, get into the team and make a difference, make an impact, whatever that may look like. So yeah, it's just, we can be as optimistic as we want, but at the end of the day, ultimately, we all know the proof is in the pudding.
It's in the pudding.
All right, well, that'll do it for us here on PHY Union Podcast. We will continue monitoring all the updates that are happening, rosters, changes, news, updates, losses as we get into more preseason games. Inter Miami lost. Just kidding. But more.
See the guy doing the celebration and scoring the goal?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
good.
4-3 is, first of all, hey, they're scoring goals.
They haven't won since September of 2023. I like that.
Wow. That's a long time, but it's not when you think about it.
That was last year.
I know. They haven't won since last year. My gosh. What's going to happen? The soccer is going to blow up. But listen, much more to come here on PHY Union Podcast. We will continue deep diving our thoughts as well as revealing our teams. And as we near the closer and get closer and closer to the start of the season, starting to give up some more predictions and thoughts of heading into 2024 officially. So Be sure to subscribe, follow, and stay tuned. We'll be back 3:30 on Thursday live with more on PHY Union Podcast. For Tyler, JP, myself, Renee, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you guys next time.
Doop.
We all silly like the mayor.